All right, so I'm going to start this exercise with a little joke. You know, when I started lifting weights, a guy in the gym asked me, "Hey, why do you think bodybuilders can shrug so much weight?" And I said, "I don't know." And they said, "Well, it's because they're used to saying, 'I don't know, I don't know.'" So this is a shrug. And really, it's kind of a funny thing because you see people in the gym grabbing these huge dumbbells and loading plate upon plates on a bar and shrugging it and using their knees to bring up the weight, and they're doing this and they're rolling their shoulders back, thinking that that's going to really give them that last bit of muscle contraction. It's going to develop their traps and bring their musculature up to their ears. And it's a really funny thing. But in all reality, the shrugs are very important for the development of one of the most principal stabilizers of the head. So you've heard of people who've been in a car accident, have whiplash injury, and have all these other issues with their neck and their upper back. And a lot of that is weakness in this muscle that the shrugs really target. And just to give you an overview of what happens here with the shrug and the traps is the traps attach right at the base of the skull, in the occipital line, and it comes down and attaches right at the shoulder. Then it draws down the middle of the back. So in all reality, we have two triangles where the bases meet. That is important because of how we want to work the traps. So when we're thinking about working the fibers of the traps that go toward the shoulder, we want to think of doing the shrug. And then we're going to cover that, and then we'll cover some other exercises later that deal with the fibers going from the middle of the back out to the shoulders, and then some of the fibers that come up from the mid-back to lower back up to the shoulder. So all those come into play. But this is an emphasis on these fibers that go out to the shoulders that have a lot to do with the stabilization of the head. So let's get started with the shrug. What you want to consider with the shrug is driving the shoulders up toward your ears. As you can see there, you notice that while he's performing this exercise, he isn't pulling with his elbows. In other words, he's not using his biceps to bring the weight up. He's strictly using the traps. Another thing also to consider is you see there's no hip involvement here. There's no knees. The knees aren't coming into this. His knees are actually locked out. He's not using any other accessory muscles. And this way, he's really getting a good contraction on the traps, the upper fibers of the traps. So this is a shrug. One last thing. You see a lot of people in the gym bringing their shoulders up in the shrug. So bring them up and then rolling them back. You don't need to perform this. There's really no need to bring them up and back. There's a better way to go after these muscle fibers that are going from the shoulder to the mid-back. And we'll cover that later. But for now, this is the correct way to perform the shrug. It's a great exercise in developing the traps as well as some of the muscles of the upper back. But more importantly, it's a great way to avoid any future neck injuries. This is the shrug.